Hello and welcome to the Video Game Sage. I've been playing Nintendo games since the original NES came out. Playing video games is a love that has stayed with me my whole life. I've shared it with my family, and it led me to create this channel in my 40s so I could share some of that love. As a huge Nintendo fan, the release of the Switch 2 is a major event. The original Switch is the primary system that my family plays video games on, and once we had the Switch 2, we spent a lot of time testing different games. The backwards compatibility is remarkable, and I've noticed a lot of interesting differences in how the Switch 2 handles older games. In this series, we'll be going over those differences. We'll go over individual games as well as a few franchises. You may expect me to go over certain kinds of games, but hopefully I have a few surprises for you. Today's session is for fans of the Vania side of Metroidvanias. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night by Artplay and Way Forward, published by 505 Games. Bloodstained is the brainchild of Koji Igarashi. It's a spiritual sequel to Castlevania Symphony of the Night. That game shifted the series from its classic level-by-level system into an adventure game style where you are exploring a large overall map with multiple power-ups to find. Kinda like a Metroid. That is where the term Metroidvania comes from. Symphony of the Night was hugely popular and spawned multiple sequels before Iga, as he's known by his fans, left Konami and set out on his own. Bloodstained itself is a great game, but the Switch port is notorious for its lower frame rates and stickier controls. I completed the main game on the Switch back in 2019, and despite its issues, I enjoyed it. But does playing it on the Switch 2 improve anything? Well... Playing on the Switch 2 doesn't really improve a whole lot. I'm playing on a late game save file, but I've started in the town to show some of the early moments of the game. The differences are pretty negligible here in the town. The monsters and graphics don't really have any differences to speak of. And basically, the visuals are the same. The bridge scene shows no change as bats fly around and the scene twists around to the castle. The Switch 2 footage appears a little washed out, but that could be due to the brightness or HDR settings. Now in the castle, you can see the increased resolution doesn't really add anything, and the frame rate of the game is locked at 30 frames per second. Other games, like Dreamlight Valley, don't have locked frame rates, so that's why that game runs more smoothly on the Switch 2 than what we see here with Bloodstained. The game naturally runs at a lower frame rate than versions on other systems. I've gone ahead and captured footage of the PC version just for comparison's sake. Thankfully, one area that the Switch 2 does improve on is load times. It takes roughly 36 seconds to load to the title screen on Switch 1 and only 26 seconds on Switch 2. From the Save Select screen to being able to play takes an additional 12 seconds on Switch 1 and only takes 7 seconds on Switch 2. And that brings us to Classic Mode. You can select Classic Mode from inside the game's Extra menu. In Classic Mode, it takes 20 seconds to start playing on Switch 1, while on Switch 2 it's down to 14 seconds. For reference, the PC version takes 13 seconds to load. Classic Mode was created as a love letter to the original NES Castlevania. It features a level-by-level design rather than a large explorable map. End-stage bosses can be tough, and you only have a few lives, but once you complete a level, you don't have to repeat it. The controls are far more restrictive and deliberate in this mode to give it that real Castlevania feel. It's a really fun mode if you like that kind of old-school game. But this mode is really where I started having problems with the Switch version. To this day, I haven't beaten it on the Switch. I did beat it on PC, where I found the controls, while still restrictive and deliberate, are better. There is a sticky quality to the Switch controls that causes input delay, and you can't perform successive moves as quickly, and that absolutely affects the gameplay. Classic Mode is the reason I was curious if Switch 2 improved things at all for this version. Unfortunately, the results are largely the same. Classic Mode is frame locked at 30 frames per second just like the main game, and that causes the same sticky controls. I've provided footage of the PC mode here for comparison's sake as well, and you can see the higher frame rate results in more fluid controls. Now we'll look at the final boss fight, starting with the climb up the stairs to his throne room.
What took you so long?
The battle starts with the same few moves. Jeeble appears on the left, throws some fire, and then teleports to another point where he'll either throw more fire or throw some purple energy balls.
What took you so long? So I must.
He'll also try to appear behind you and try to pull a grab and bite for heavy damage. Yeah, he got me there. I failed to beat him when capturing Switch 1 footage. I did beat him on Switch 2, proceeding to, spoilers, the real final boss, Dominique. Her patterns are pretty easy to deal with. Her first phase really just has her bouncing around, creating columns of fire, and throwing ice daggers. But once she starts summoning fire spirits, the sticky controls are a bit too much to overcome. It's not impossible, but it takes some practice. I didn't do much better on the PC version, but you can see the difference in fluidity and playability. Bloodstained and Classic Mode are both great games for Castlevania fans. They are great games on the original Switch, but unfortunately it's not the best way to experience them. The Switch 2 doesn't improve much of anything except for the load times, which is a welcome improvement. There is a sequel to Classic Mode available called Dominique's Revenge. I don't own it on Switch, so I couldn't gather any footage of it for this comparison. It's an extra purchase, but I fully recommend it as it's a great modern take on Castlevania II Simon's Quest and well worth your time. And that brings us to a close. Thanks for watching, and if you found this video helpful, give us a quick like and subscribe. Leave a comment and tell me if you are upgrading to Switch 2 and what games you're excited to play on it. Click that notification bell so you can keep up with any other comparison videos I do, or to keep up with my Sage Journey series where I play through whole games. Until next time, Sage out.